Hello, everyone, and welcome all of you to Unacademy, a platform that has helped thousands of students across the country to crack toughest of examinations with the help of top educators, quality content, and not to forget the great learning experience. Therefore, join us and together let us crack 9th and 10th CBSE examinations with the access to unlimited live and recorded courses from India's best educators. Before I proceed, let me introduce myself. I am Tasneem Ahmed and I have completed my Master's and MPhil in English. I have also been certified in TESOL and I have trained 1,000 plus students. I also have 8 years of professional teaching experience. Therefore, be rest assured, you are in good hands. Well, today's topic is the continuation of tenses. Until my previous video, we learned about the 4 types of present tenses, and we have now come on to the past tense. And today's video is about simple past. Stay tuned. I will be taking you through the usages of simple past and the structures of simple past. Before I proceed with the topic, let us try and know a little more about Unacademy and what you will get with Unacademy. For starters, you have daily live classes where you can chat with your educator, engage in discussions, ask your doubts, and answer polls, all while the class is going on. Number 2, you have live tests and quizzes, where you can evaluate your preparation with our regular mock tests and quizzes and get detailed analysis on your performance. Number 3, you have structured courses. All our courses are structured in line with your exam syllabus to help you best prepare for it. Number 4, which is the most important one, that is the unlimited access. One subscription gets you the access to all our live and recorded courses to watch from the comfort of any of your devices, anytime you want and any grade you want. All you have to do is subscribe today, get the access to free live classes, prepare with any educator that you want to prepare from, and get the comprehensive syllabus of mathematics, social science, Hindi, science, and also English as well. You can also talk to us on Unacademy platform on Telegram application. You will have to download the Telegram application, type the link in the URL, and then click on join to get connected with us. The next step is to download or install the Unacademy learning application on any one of your compatible devices. After having done this, you will have to proceed further and buy any one of the subscription that Unacademy offers you. Well, Unacademy offers you courses starting from 1 month to 48 months. With the increase of the duration of the courses, these courses come with the maximum amount of discount. 6 months course comes with 33% of discount, whereas 12 months course comes with 50% of discount, 24 months is available on 58% of discount, and 36 is available on 60% of discount, whereas 48 months course is available on 67% of discount. Not just this, along with this discount, you also have additional 10% of discount. That is when you type the code TA01 when you proceed to pay. When you proceed to pay, if you type the code TA01, let us say, for example, if you were to buy a course for 12 months, which is already available on a discounted rate of 50%, and then you type the code TA01, you get additional 10% of discount on the existing discount, which means in total you get 60% of discount on this course. As opposed to 15,000 rupees, now you will only be paying 13,500 rupees only for the course of 12 months duration. And for a month, you will only have to pay 1,125. Therefore, what are you waiting for? Take the advantage of the code, take the advantage of the duration, take the advantage of all the available courses, take the advantage of the live courses, live classes that you are able to access on Unacademy platform. If you are a 9th grader or a 10th grader or 11th or 12th grader, go ahead, buy the subscription today and get the access to all those live and recorded courses and start preparing for your examinations today. Well, now let us proceed towards today's topic, simple past. Today's topic is simple past. But before coming to simple past, we discussed a lot of things before this. Well, we discussed about 3 timelines that we have. Number 1, we discussed about present, and we discussed about past, and we discussed about future. And then we learned that these 3 timelines are further divided into 4 more, like simple, continuous, perfect, and also perfect continuous. And we also learned about present simple, present continuous, present perfect, and present perfect continuous in all our previous videos. And today we will be learning about simple, past, and in videos to come in future, I will be taking you through past continuous, past perfect continuous, and future simple future, future continuous, future perfect, and future perfect continuous. Let us now focus on simple past. Well, the first question, what is the definition of simple past? Well, when I was explaining you about the meaning of simple present, I told you that when the action is simply mentioned without talking about the beginning or the completion of the action, we call it as simply in simple tense. Well, simple present speaks about present tense, whereas simple past speaks about past tense. Well, it does mention about a past action which is completed. As of this moment, the actions that we are referring to in simple past are definitely completed, but then it doesn't give us the exact moment of when the action started or when it actually completed. It has been mentioned simply in past tense without referring to the beginning or the completion of the action, but then it is a completed action in past time. That is what is referred to as simple past. Let us take a look at the structure of this simple past. Well, simple past takes the subject to begin with. Soon after the subject, you do not have a be verb here, but then you have the past tense over here. You have the past tense, which is going to be your main verb. Now let us move on and know the different types of subject types that we are going to use in this video, and also the verb types. Let me first begin with subject pronouns. Pronouns and the different types. What is a pronoun? Pronoun is a word that replaces a noun. And what is a subject? Subject is a person or a place or a thing who does the action in a statement. It can be a pronoun or a noun. Therefore, let me first take you through all the pronouns. We have first person pronoun. We then have second person pronoun. We then have third person pronoun. Well, in first person, who is referred to as first person? Well, first person is the one who is talking. In our scenario between you and I am the first person and you are the one who is listening to me talk. Therefore, you become the second person. Therefore, I is the pronoun and the plural of I is we. And the second person, the one who is listening, is you, and you is used in plural as well. Now, the one who is not in this conversation or the one who is not available here at the moment, that is, I am here, you are here, but then the other people who are out there to whom we will refer to as he, she, it, or they. These people are third person pronouns. we refer to them in singular as he, she, and it, and in plural, we refer to them as they. These are our pronouns which we use in subject places, in only subject places. Well, we also have names that we can mention in third person singular. Supposing if we refer to a name of a person like Ben or Emily, it becomes a name of a person, but again, it is a third person singular. So this is a third person singular noun. And supposing if we are referring to a thing like the box or the place like the school, these are our singular third person nouns. Well, we also have third person plural nouns like when you club two names together like this, Ben and Emily. This is a plural subject. Similarly, when you say the boxes or the schools, these become our plural but third person subjects. So these are, in total, all these are our subject types. These are pronouns, and these are first person, second person, first, second, third, singular, and we, you, they, first, second, and plural. These are singular subjects, third person singular subjects, and these are third person plural subjects. Now let us move on to knowing the verb. What is a verb? Verb is a word that denotes the action, or the action which is mentioned in the statement is referred to as the verb. Now, these verbs are divided into two, as in main verbs and helping verbs or auxiliaries. Main verbs, helping verbs, or auxiliaries, main verb is one of the form, and helping verbs, or you can also refer to them as be verbs, or you can also refer to them as auxiliaries. These are the different names that you have. Now, what are main verbs? Verbs like sit, drink, eat, run, walk, sprint, smile, laugh, cry, talk, think, etc., etc., etc. All these are referred to as main verbs. All these are referred to as main verbs, and there are auxiliaries like be verbs, which are is, are, am, was, were, and will be. And then you have verbs like has, have, and had. Then you have do verbs like do, does, and did. And you also have modals like can, could, shall, should, may, might, etc., etc., etc. All these put together, we call them as auxiliaries or helping verbs. Now, these are the verb types. One, main verbs, and number two, helping verbs or auxiliaries. Now, these helping verbs connect the subject with the main verbs. They help in framing a meaningful statement by connecting the subject with the main verbs. Let us now move on to the different forms, the 5 forms that we have when it comes to the main verbs. Well, supposing if you take the verb talk or keep, or if you take the verb run or drive, or if you take swim or if you take go. Now these verbs like talk, keep, run, drive, swim, and go, these are called as root or plus S verbs. These are referred to as root, I'm sorry, not plus S, sorry, my bad. Root or base forms. These are referred to as root or base forms because this is how actually a verb is born. Then number 2, you add the plus S to the root verb and you convert that into talks and keeps and runs and drives, swims, and goes. You next add ing to the base form, thereby converting this word into talking, keeping, running, driving, swimming, and going. Next is the past tense, the one which we will be using in today's video most of the time. Past tense, which is the past tense of talk is talked, the past tense of keep is kept, the past tense of run is ran, the past tense of drive is drove, the past tense of swim is swam, and the past tense of go is went. There is one more form which we call it as past participle. Past participle, and the past participle of talk is talked, the past participle of keep is kept, run is run, drove is driven, swim is swum, and went is gone. Now the next question that you should be asking is, how are these verbs different from these? Now here, if you take a look at these two forms, the past tense and the past participle. Well, before I proceed, what is a participle? What is a participle? Well, participle is nothing but a verb functioning like an adjective. When a verb functions like an adjective, you call that as participle. Well, there are two types of participles. Number 1 is present participle, when all your verb forms are in ing forms, which you refer to as present participle. Number 2, when the verb is in its past form, like talked, kept, run, driven, swum, gone. This is referred to as past participle. Now, if you take a look at the past tense and the past participle of these verbs, talk and keep, talked and talked, kept and kept, there is no change at all. They both are similar. But when you take a look at the word run, the past tense is ran, whereas the past participle is run. Here, drove and then driven, swam and swum, went and gone. So this gives us the understanding that there are verbs out there which take a different past tense and a different past participle. Therefore, this categorizes under regular and irregular verbs. Regular and irregular verbs. When the verbs, the past tense and the past participle are similar, you call them as regular verbs. When the past tense and the past participles are different, then you call them as irregular verbs. There are verbs like cut and hurt, etc., which do not change their forms at all. They remain intact all through. They also belong to the irregular verb forms. So these are the 5 forms that we have, which we are going to use in our tenses to conjugate these tenses. Now let us go on to learning the sentences, the examples, or the simple past tense. Just a little while ago, I told you what is simple past. Simple past is an action mentioned in past as if the action is completed, but in past tense. It says that the action, any action that we mention that we refer to in past tense is referred to as simple past. We do not say whether the action is going on. We are not saying whether the action was completed perfectly, or we are not saying if it is connected to past, present, or the future. We are not referring to any of that, but we are simply mentioning that the action is completed in past without having mentioning whether when it actually started and when it actually stopped. Let me give you the examples with subjects. I walked 4 miles to reach my house. I walked 4 miles to reach my house. What does it say? It only says that I walked 4 miles to reach my house. When did I actually start walking? No idea. Am I still walking? No, it doesn't say about that. Am I done walking? Yes, of course, but then when exactly was I done? That doesn't it doesn't say anything about that, but it just says that in past tense the action, which is walked, is done. Similarly, if I take the subject you, we get the statement, you went home early yesterday. You went home early yesterday. Similarly, with the subject we lived in Mumbai for a year. Full stop. With the subject they moved to Delhi last year. Full stop. Now let us analyze all of these statements together and let us see if these statements hold true to the explanation. You went home early yesterday. You went home, completed action. We lived in Mumbai for a year. Again, we lived, completed action. They moved to Delhi last year. They moved to Delhi last year, completed action. The sentence structure says we use the subject. These are our subjects. I, you, we, and they. These are our subjects. Soon after the subjects, we use the past tense of the main verb, and these are our past main verbs. Walked, went, lived, and moved. These are our past tense, not our past participles, our past tenses. And these actions are mentioned in past. Let me give you the examples with the subject he, she, and it. Well, when I was explaining you about he, she, and it with reference to present tense, I in fact told you that we use a plus S verb. Do you remember that? I told you that we use plus S verb, but this formula doesn't apply over here in simple past. Here, even in simple past, soon after the subject, doesn't matter what type of subject you are using, you go ahead and use the past tense verb alone. There is no plus S form over here with third person singular subjects like the way we used in present tenses. All the present tenses that we have used, that we have learned, simple present, present continuous, present perfect, and present perfect continuous, they all use plus S forms when it comes to he, she, or it with third person singular subjects. But with simple past, we do not apply that formula. The plus S formula doesn't work over here. We in fact go with the past tense of the main verb. So the examples would be he went home early yesterday. he went home early yesterday. The action that happened yesterday, the past action, the completed action. Or she lived in Mumbai for a year. Full stop. It ate only chicken and nothing. Well, it being referred to a puppy or a dog, puppy or a dog. The replacement, the pronoun of a puppy or a dog would be it. Well, ate is the past tense of eat. The present tense of went is go and lived is live. So we are using the past tense of these words. He went home early yesterday. She lived in Mumbai for a year. It ate only chicken and nothing. All these actions are referring to completed actions in the past. So now let us move on again. Okay, before I proceed, let me recall the sentence structure. Subject. Soon after the subject, you have the past tense. So mainly, this is the usage of simple past. It is used to refer to a completed action in the past. Besides this, it is also used to when you are actually narrating an event or narrating a sequence of events in past. Like, for example, if I were to say, she walked into her house. Pay attention because this is really interesting. She walked into her house, walked straight to her room. Full stop. Locked it behind her. Full stop. Buried herself into a pillow. Buried herself into a pillow and burst into tears. Burst into tears. Now over here, focus from here till here. She walked into her house, walked straight to her room, locked it behind her, buried herself into a pillow and burst into tears. Now this is a sequence. This is a narration of an incident. And here the person who is doing is she. If this is the only person, this is the subject, and she is the subject of all the statements. We don't necessarily have to say she walked into her house, she walked straight to her room, she locked it behind her, she buried herself into a pillow, and she burst into tears. That's totally unnecessary because the person that we are referring to is the same person, and we are narrating an incident related to the same person. Therefore, you do not necessarily have to mention because it is understood by anybody. It's quite understood that we are referring to the same person. So here, when you are mentioning a sequence or narrating an event which happened one after the other, sequential narration, in that particular situation, you use simple past. Now you can see walked, locked, buried, burst. All these are past tenses and past usages, and this has been narrated in simple past. Let me give you another sequence which goes like this. Let us say there is a girl called Emily, and Emily changed herself into her gym clothes, full stop. And then she put on her sneakers, and then she took her gym towel. Then she grabbed her water bottle, and she plugged her headphones, turned the music too loud, and went out for a run. Full stop. So here let us analyze. Like I told you, when you are narrating a sequence, what happened? This happened first, after this, after this, this. You are narrating a sequence, and when you are doing that, you employ simple past, like the way I have done over here. Emily changed herself into gym clothes. Changed, put on her sneakers. Like I told you, the person is the same person, therefore we need not mention she, or we need not even mention Emily put on her clothes or sneakers, took her gym towel. That's irrelevant. That's not necessary at all. Now, here Emily changed herself into gym clothes, put on her sneakers. Of course, we're talking about Emily. Put is the past tense of put. There is no different word for put. It remains the same in past tense as well. So put on her sneakers. Took is the past tense of the word take. Took her gym towel. Grabbed is the past tense of grab. Grabbed her water bottle. Plugged is the past tense of the word plug. Plugged her headphones. Turned the music too loud, and went out for a run. So here we are narrating another sequence with simple past. So when you are narrating an incident, stick to simple past and you will not have any problem. Let me take you through another incident or another narration where we refer to somebody as he. He went inside the supermarket, grabbed the basket, walked through different aisles, picked up few things, full stop, dumped them into the basket, full stop, walked to the billing counter or department or counter, then paid the bill. The bill, took the bags. Let me continue here. Took the bags, put them in his car and drove away. Another sequence that has been narrated, another incident that has been narrated. He went inside the supermarket. He grabbed the basket. Doesn't really, you don't really have to mention he everywhere. Not necessary, because the person that we are referring to is the same person. Therefore, he went inside the supermarket, grabbed the basket, walked through different aisles, picked up few things, dumped them into the basket, walked to the billing department, paid the bill, took the bags, put them in his car, and drove away. So this is an incident that you are narrating in a sequence. So when you are narrating a sequence, make sure you are narrating it with or in simple past. And the sentence structure of simple past is subject, and soon after the subject you have the past tense of the main verb. Now let us move on to learning negatives. Well, you know, when it comes to negatives in simple past, it is really interesting because it is pretty tricky, and 99% of the time every single one does the mistake. Even the one who is an expert in English does a mistake when it comes to the negative usage of simple past. Therefore, it is really important for you to be aware. What was the first statement that I gave you earlier? That was I walked 4 miles to reach my house. Right? I walked 4 miles to reach my house. Now let us convert this into the negative. Now what is the sentence structure over here? You have subject, and then soon after that you have past verb, right? Past verb, right? When you convert this into the negative statement, you keep the statement subject intact and you bring in did not. You bring in did and not. I did not, and the walk over here gets walked over here gets converted into walk. The past verb walked converts itself into walk in past tense, or in the negative usage of past tense, because the simple past has been used by or mentioned by or expressed by the auxiliary did, which means that in simple past we use did. In simple present we use do or does based on the subject type, right? But in simple past we use did as our auxiliary. And because we have used did over here, if you write walked, I did not walked, then it will be a grammatical error. Therefore, you cannot write walked, but then you will have to use, okay, I'm not sure why this is not erasing. Okay, fine. Something seems to be wrong with my pen. All right, let me continue. I did not walk 4 miles. 4 miles to reach my house. So there you have negated the fact. You have negated the fact. Next is when with the statement which I gave you earlier, you went home early yesterday. You went home early yesterday. Now this is your subject and this is your past verb. Now you will have to convert this into your negative statement. Like I told you earlier, you will bring in did not. You did not. Went becomes go, because this is your negative statement. Therefore, even though if it is simple past, you use your present tense over here. You did not go home early yesterday. You did not go home early yesterday. Let me give you the example with we. We have, I'm sorry, not have. Oh man, my eraser is not working. All right. We lived in Mumbai We lived in Mumbai for a year. We lived in Mumbai for a year. Now let us convert this into negative. And to do that, we bring in did not, right? And then we will convert this into present tense. So we did not live in Mumbai for a year. We did not live in Mumbai for a year. Next statement is they moved to Delhi last year. We moved to Delhi last year, full stop. Now this has to be converted into the negative usage. Thereby we get this statement. Subject remains intact. We bring in did not. We did not. And this gets converted into root verb. Thereby we did not move to Delhi last year, full stop. So these are the negatives with the subject I, you, we, and they. What about third person singular subjects? Well, I did tell you that the plus S rule only applies to present tense and not with simple past. With that, let us take the examples. He went home early yesterday. And to convert that into negative, we will bring in did not. He did not, and went becomes go. He did not go home early yesterday. Full stop. Similarly, the other example that I gave you was she lived in Mumbai for a year. So that gets converted into she did not, lived becomes live. Live in Mumbai for a year. She lived in Mumbai for a year. She did not live in Mumbai for a year. With the last example, which is it ate only chicken and nothing. And nothing. How will you convert this into negative? Well, just the same rule. You will bring in did not over here, and the present tense of ate is eat. It did not eat anything but chicken. But chicken. So remember, when you are using the auxiliary did in a statement, the main verb that you use should be the root verb and not the past tense. If you end up using the past tense in simple past, when you have did, then in that case, you will be making a mistake. In that case, you will be making a grammatical error. Therefore, be careful with the usage of did. Now let us move on with yes or no questions. What are yes or no questions? Yes or no questions are those type of questions which demand the answer as either yes or no. Let us see how to frame these questions with the same example that I gave you earlier, which was I walked 4 miles to reach my house. I walked 4 miles to reach my house. Now you have to convert this into a question. So to convert this into a question, do we have an auxiliary over here? Usually when we convert a yes or no question, we need an auxiliary, don't we? But we do not have an auxiliary. And with simple past, the auxiliary that we use is did. Therefore, even though we do not have an auxiliary over here, we will bring the auxiliary here, which is did. We will insert the auxiliary did and we will bring the subject I. And what did I say a little while ago? When you have did in your statement, the main verb of that statement gets converted into the root verb, which means walk. Walked becomes walk. Did I walk 4 miles to reach my house? Well, this is your affirmative statement, affirmative question. How will you convert this into a negative question? Well, all you do is you insert the word not. Did I not? Or you can also make it as didn't I? Didn't I? When you are putting it together, you will have to bring the not word over here and you will have to contract it like this, didn't I? Or did I not? Well, again, the main verb is walk. Did I not walk for 4 miles to reach my house? That's how you convert the negatives. The next example is with you. You went home early yesterday. You went home early yesterday. Now this needs to be converted into a question. First of all, a affirmative question. So you will have to bring in the word did and your subject is you. Did you? What is the root verb of went? It is go. Therefore, did you go home early yesterday? Did you go home early yesterday? How will you make this as a negative question? You will bring in the negative word, that is, did you not go home early yesterday? All right, we forgot about one important thing, didn't we? Question mark. Do not forget to end the question with a not here. Here, question mark. Did you not go home early yesterday? Or you can contract it by using it as didn't you go home early yesterday? And a question mark. Now that is how you convert with I and you. With your other example, that is we lived in Mumbai for a year. How will we convert this into a yes or no question? By inserting the word did. Now here the subject is we. So we bring in here, we insert the word, the auxiliary did here, and we brought the subject we, and we convert the word lived into live. We live in Mumbai for a year, question mark. Did we live in Mumbai for a year, question mark. How will you make that as a negative? Well, all you do is you bring in the negative word. Did we not? Or you can also make it as didn't. Didn't we live? Do not convert the past tense into root verb. Didn't we live in Mumbai for a year? And there you go with a question mark. The next one is they moved to Delhi last year. They moved to Delhi last year. That's your statement. Now you got to convert this into a question by introducing the word did, and the subject remains intact, but moved gets converted into move. Did they move to Delhi last year? And do not forget to put your question. How will you make this as a negative? Did they not, or didn't they? Didn't they move to Delhi last year? And there you go, your question mark. Now let us move on to the third person singular subjects, which are he, she, and it. What were the examples that I gave you? He went home early yesterday. Early yesterday. That's your question. Now, how do you convert that into a negative statement? By introducing the word did and bringing the subject he and converting went into go and home early yesterday, ending with a question mark. How will you make that as a negative? Well, by introducing the word not. Did he not, or didn't he? Didn't he, but keeping the verb intact. Did he not, or didn't he go home early yesterday? Go home early yesterday. And there you have your question mark. With she, you can, well, the example that I gave you earlier was she lived in Mumbai for a year. That's your question. That's your statement. Now convert that into a question by introducing the word did, she, and convert lived into live in Mumbai for a year. Next, how would you convert that into a negative? That is by introducing the negative word or contracting it like this. Didn't she not live? Lived becomes live in Mumbai for a year. With the third example that I gave you earlier, which was it ate only chicken and nothing. It ate only chicken and nothing. Now this needs to be converted into yes or no question. Therefore, we will bring did and then keep the subject as it is. And the present tense or the root verb of ate is eat. Did it eat only chicken? Only chicken and nothing? And we end it with a question mark. How would you make it negative? You make it negative by introducing the negative word by did it not, or by contracting it like this. Didn't it not? The present tense or the root verb of ate is eat. Didn't it, or did it not, or didn't it eat anything? Anything other than chicken? Other than chicken? And there you go, you have your question mark. So when you are converting a yes or no question, when you are making a yes or no question in simple past, remember in simple past, the sentence structure is did. Soon after the subject is did, you will have your subject and then root verb. You will have your root verb and then the complement. To make it negative, you will have to bring in not over here or here, depending upon whether you want to keep it contracted or not. But the condition is when you have did in a statement, use root verb. Now let us move on to framing WH words or WH questions. Now, what are WH words? Words like what, why, when, where, which, who, whom, and how. All these are referred to as WH words or WH words questions or question words. How do you frame a question with WH words? Let us take the same examples that I had given you earlier. That is, I walked 4 miles to reach my house. Full stop. Now this needs to be converted into a WH question. We can use anything that makes meaningful over here. Let me take the word how and let me add a little more to make it meaningful. How many miles? Now we are going to bring in did over here to make it a question. Remember, we are going to use the structure over here as WH word and then did. And what is the next thing? How many miles did? What is the subject over here? I. Did I? So here you will have your subject. And what is your verb over here? It is in your past tense. And what did I tell you when you use did in your statement? Does it still keep the past tense verb? Certainly not. You bring in your root verb. Therefore, the root verb of walked is walk. So, how many miles did I walk to reach my house? And complete that with a question mark. You can convert this into negative as well, like this. How many miles didn't I or did I not? Did I not walk to reach my house? Do not forget to put the question mark. Let us take the next example, which is with you. You went home early yesterday. You went home early yesterday. Full stop. That's our simple past completed action. Let us change that into a WH question by bringing the word why, and soon after the WH word, what do we put? We put did. Why did? After did, we are going to bring in the subject, right? So the subject is you. Why did you? And after that, we are going to bring in the root verb of the past tense verb that we have used. Went is the verb over here. The root verb of went is go. So why did you go home early yesterday? Question mark. How to make this as a negative? Why did you not go? Or why didn't you go as well? Home early yesterday. Why didn't you go home, or why did you not go home early yesterday? Well, contracted forms are used mostly in speaking while you speak in English. These separated forms are mostly used in written English to keep the language formal. Now let me take you to the other example of we. I gave you the example earlier as we lived in Mumbai for a year. We lived in Mumbai for a year, put the full stop, and how do we convert that into a WH question? Here we are going to introduce the WH word, which is WH word. Soon after the WH word, we bring in did and then subject and then root verb. That's the structure. So where did, after did, you are going to bring in the subject. And what's the subject? Where did we? And then the root verb of this verb is live. Where did we live in Mumbai for a year, full question mark. And to make that as a negative question, all we are going to do is where did we not or where didn't we live in Mumbai for a year. There you go with your question mark. Next example is they moved to Delhi last year. Last year. Full stop. Now convert this into a WH question word. That is why, and bring in your did and then your subject and convert this into a root verb like this. Why did they move to Delhi last year? Do not forget to put your question mark. How would you make that as a negative word? Why did they not move to Delhi last year? And put your full stop there. Well, did they? To make it as a negative, all you have to do is introduce the negative word after your subject over here, or soon after the auxiliary did, but then only if you are contracting that. With third person singular subjects also, it's the same formula. That is, you use the WH word and did, subject, and the root verb. Let us see if this holds correct here. He went home early yesterday. Full stop. So you will bring in the question word and did and the subject he and the root verb of went. Why did he go home early yesterday? And ended with a question mark. How would you make that as a negative? Why did he not, or why didn't he go home early yesterday? And ended with a question mark. Next is with she, with the subject she. She lived in Mumbai for a year. Full stop. How will you convert that into a question word? By introducing the WH word where and bringing in did. Where did she, the root verb of lived is live. Where did she live in Mumbai for a year? Question mark. Negative question goes like this. Why did she not live in Mumbai for a year? And you ended with a question mark. The last example that I gave you was it ate only chicken and nothing. And nothing. Full stop. How do you convert that for WH word question? By introducing the question word why and did it. The root verb of ate is eat. Why did it eat only chicken and nothing? Question mark. How will you make that as a negative? By adding the negative word. Why did it not eat anything but chicken? And there you go with your question mark. So this is how you convert, this is how you structure your simple past. For a proper statement, you use the sentence structure as subject, and soon after the subject, you will introduce your past verb or main verb in past tense. When you are making that as a negative, you introduce did and you introduce the word not and you bring in the root verb. Remember, when using did in a statement, it is important that you switch the past tense verb into root verb because the past tense has been covered or been expressed by the word did over here. The same rule applies in every single situation wherever you are using the word did. Even in when you are framing the yes and no questions, the sentence structure goes like this: did, subject, and root verb. When you are framing the question, WH question word, WH word, and then did, and soon after that, subject. When you are making this as a negative, all you have to do is add contract it over here or bring in not over here. Similarly, here I forgot to add the root verb. So root verb, when you are using did, the main important thing over here for you to understand is did. When you are using did, switch to root verb. When you're using did, switch to root verb. To make it as a negative, put the word not after your subject, and there you will have your proper sentence structure. If you see did in a statement, this means it is your simple past. So what is a simple past? A simple past is an action that has been mentioned in past tense, which shows that the action is completed in some time in past. All right, so that is all about today. Thank you very much for watching. Do not forget to leave your comments below. If you haven't subscribed it already, make sure you're subscribing it now. If you haven't hit the bell icon already, make sure you're doing that now. The most important thing of all, when you are buying that subscription, do not forget to type the code TA01 to make sure that you are availing that extra 10% off discount. Let us crack CBSE 9th and 10th examination with Unacademy. Do not forget to join our Telegram group for latest updates on our upcoming videos. Well, that is all for today. Thank you very much for watching. See you again soon. Bye-bye.